Right, it's time to hear a little bit less of me and a little bit more of my next guest. I like to have a moment in the show where we just stop with our very hectic lives and just stop and think for a moment, pause and reflect. There's always so much to take in every week, isn't it? What you see on your televisions, what you read in your papers, as well as everything going on in your own lives. There are always big issues that we need to stop and think about, give some time to. Well, today it's the turn of the former UKIP spokesman in Coventry, who's now a member of the Conservative Party, Mark Taylor from Cannon Park. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, we've been talking an awful lot on the programme about the migrant crisis and refugees. You can't fail to notice it. And so I thought we'd open ourselves up to your thoughts.
OK, here we go. In recent weeks, our TV screens have been filled with images of chaos at Calais, the soldier bringing the body of a child out of the sea, and the tensions in Hungary. And once again, we are talking about refugees, military intervention against ISIS, and the complex issue of immigration. Personally, I would like a policy of limited immigration adopted by our country, but if someone is seeking refuge, we should consider their request. If we really are a Christian country and want to uphold the values of love and kindness, we must demonstrate that we are, indeed, good Samaritans. We have to respond to the latest crisis. Walking by on the other side is not an option. However, it is worth considering that many who already live in our city are hovering on the edge of, or are, poverty-stricken. Be they long-term Coventry-born residents, tenants who have moved into the city from another UK city, former refugees, asylum seekers, or the economic migrants wanting to work, they all need help. And if you haven't got much money and you're dependent on vital services and benefits, it can be difficult to watch others from outside your community be given what appears to be priority over you. Can Coventry really accept higher numbers of migrants and refugees? Well, the government is offering support to councils as they seek to house or assist Syrian refugees, but some long-term residents would question the use of such funding when they're being told there are limited funds for their needs. However, let me relay a story of someone I met whose situation challenged my opinions on the issue of immigration. I used to go to a church in the city centre. I met a man who sat just quietly and worshipped. We had a number of small conversations, often just small talk, and one evening he asked me where my wife was. I said she was at home, and he said this: "One day I may get to see my wife again." And I asked why she was not with him. He then told me that he used to live overseas and that he'd been in the UK for the last 12 months and he used to own a big farm, but with civil rioting in his country, one night he found his property invaded. Local officials violently burst into his home, dragging him away with his wife. They were beaten and then separated. The last time he saw his wife was as she was being dragged by her hair across the floor and thrown onto the back of a truck. Like many other men in his village, he was driven many miles from his home and thrown onto the roadside. Fortunately for him and others, workers from the UK's Red Cross were active in the area. Men were rescued. The man went on to say that he was offered support and given the opportunity to live here in the UK, although it took some time for this to be arranged. He was traumatised, but he gratefully accepted the place to live. He told me his wife had never been found, despite the assistance of various agencies here in the UK and overseas. And as he told me this story, he started to cry. He paused, apologised for his tears and looked up. And he said, "You know, your country has so much, and yet the people who live here cannot see what a wonderful life they have. I now have a small flat here, and I've just found a job. I'm trying to give something back to this country for helping me in my time of need. I can now sit at home in safety, and I pray daily that one day I will find my wife. There is always hope." There is a verse in the Bible that says this: "Anyone who has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person?" Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth. Should we really turn such people away? No. We should do what Britain has always done. Show compassion.